Namaste dosto. I've had a few run-ins with the police over the years here, and the last time they were harassing me because of a video I uploaded. So I'm going to teach you how to deal with the police here in India, and I'll tell you how bribery works as well, and I'll tell you about my experiences with bribery. I've had 2 experiences where the police have asked me for a bribe, and we're doing this because I had to learn a lot about dealing with the police in India. It's very different to dealing with the police in New Zealand. Here in India, and I say some cops, okay? Some cops, not all. Some cops like to skirt the rules or kind of break the rules and do a bit of like jugaad to get what they want from you. So they'll put a lot of pressure on you here. And it might just be because they don't want to do the paperwork to write a ticket. It might be because they want to take a bribe from you, or it might be because they don't want to file an FIR because it's too much paperwork and they don't want the hassle of having to go to court over this issue. Maybe they're just lazy, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just so different here in India. It's a lot more kind of, the police aren't following the law here in India. That's what I feel. It's very, very jugaad compared to New Zealand, compared to dealing with the police overseas. So this isn't to hate on police, okay? I love the police. I work with the police here in India even. These cybercrime guys are always calling me, asking me for information on scam call centers here in India. Well, not always, but they called me like 2 or 3 days ago again, asking for my and Jim's help. So I work with the police, I help them as much as I can, and I support the police. So don't get me wrong, this is to help people. And the very first thing that I noticed about Indian police is if you've done something wrong, or they think you've done something wrong, they come in hard, okay? They come in loud, scary, and intimidating. They play the bad cop, and I'm pretty sure they've been taught to do this at police school. It must be part of their training, because it's like a psychological tactic, right? They come in mean to intimidate you and to try and get you to do what they want you to do, okay? That's the tactic, that bad cop tactic. And what I noticed is that they use it a lot here in India. And that's why I had to take down that video. That's why the police were harassing me over that video, because he was playing the bad cop and it looked so bad in the video. It reflected so poorly on him, the way he treated me. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a sec. But that's how I've noticed that the Indian police work. If they're coming in as the good cop, then, you know, the cops are really friendly here. They might just want to chat, right? But if they think you've done something wrong, they'll play the bad cop. That's what I noticed. And I think they play that bad cop role so much because maybe they don't have the power to be doing what they're doing to make you comply. They didn't have the power to make me take down that video, but, you know, so they just don't want to file a case, or they don't want to do the work. So they're just going to try and pressure you and push you into doing what they want you to do with this bad cop routine. Anyway, let's talk about what if you have done something wrong, okay? Now, a lawyer is going to tell you, I guess, if you've done something wrong, don't say anything. Call a lawyer straight away. And it's right. Here in India, it really depends what's happened, okay? So there's different things that can happen. Maybe what you've done is not so serious, okay? Then you can handle it yourself. But if what you've done is serious, then just ignore everything I say. You need to call a lawyer, and that lawyer will advise you. What I'm talking about are smaller things that you might or might not have done, and how you can deal with the police when they come for you, okay? So, for an example, I realized I had done something wrong when the police told me I was not allowed to fly my drone in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. At the time I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, but when they dragged me back to the police station and were yelling at me, doing the bad cop routine, and you know, they showed me the law, I realized that I had done something wrong flying my drone in a restricted airspace. So in that instance, it's a very minor offense, right? Like, clearly I'm not an anti-national, and I'm not a terrorist, and I'm not there to gather intel for some illegal activity. I'm there as a YouTuber, you know, taking photos of the beautiful beach. That's it, okay? So less severe, and the police, I knew they wouldn't want to pursue it into a court case, right? Like, why would they? When you commit a crime, you have to have the intent of doing it. And I didn't have any malice or any bad intent. I was just trying to make a beautiful vlog for you guys, and I made it. They weren't going to take it any further than what it was, so they just made me write an apology letter, which I did, and that was done. They sent me on my way after having busted my balls for a while. So if it's a small thing that's happened, pay the fine, write the apology note, or let the police file an FIR so it can go to court and you can have a lawyer deal with it for you, okay? That's if you've done something wrong and you realize you're wrong and you just want to get it over with quickly. Now, sometimes the police will ask you for a bribe, and I have seen this a number of times here in India. The traffic police in India are notorious for taking bribes. It's like a business, and that's where I've seen it happen twice, where it's happened to me twice. It's always been the traffic police here in Delhi. I'll tell you about that in a sec. But I will never ever pay a bribe because I'm not scared of an FIR. I'm not scared of a court case, and I'm not scared of going to jail. If I do something wrong, everything should go by the book, and I should be punished by the book as well. I should not pay a bribe to get off whatever I've done wrong. That is wrong. We'll do things the right way. What happens when it comes to bribes is the police officer will take you away from the rest of the police officers. Usually they hang in groups, maybe 5-10 meters away. And he'll ask you for 1,000 rupees. Something like that. If you're a foreigner, it tends to be around 1,000 rupees, okay? And when it comes to approaching a police officer and asking them to take a bribe, here's how I've seen people do it. They'll go to the police officer quietly. They'll say, how can we fix this? How can we solve this problem? So people here aren't directly asking the cop to take a bribe. They're waiting for the cop to, say, give me 1,000 rupees. Now, after I've seen people say this to the police, one of two things can happen. If the police is a good cop, he will say, no, here's your ticket, pay the fine. Now, if he's a corrupt cop, he'll say, yeah, 1,000 rupees, and then the negotiation starts, the bargaining starts. Then you bargain down. That's what I've seen. You bargain down from 1,000 to 500, and maybe you'll settle around 200 or 300. This is what I've seen. That's how bribery works here in India. And the two times that it's happened to me, and one time it was with Manisha, I was in the wrong. I had taken a right turn where I wasn't allowed to take a right turn, and the police were just waiting there catching people taking these right turns. And so, like I said, the guy took me 10 meters away from where everybody, or the rest of the cops were, and he says, comes up to my window and says, give me 1,000 rupees. And what I did was, I said, I don't have any money, give me the ticket, I'll pay the fine. And because I knew he was asking me for a bribe, I knew it wasn't normal what he was doing. And the thing was, I was speaking in English as well. So that was very hard for him because a lot of police don't speak English here. And then he asked to see my license. I showed him my license, and it was an international driver's license, which confused him, as well. So I wasn't speaking Hindi, I was speaking English. And it just makes it hard for them. And then they see the international driver's license. They're like, oh God, how do I process this? And I told him I didn't have any money. So he's like, he's got no money to pay the bribe. So he just goes to me, ja, go. And so I left. That was that. Because, if he had written a ticket, then I could have said to him, I would have reported him for asking me for a bribe first time. He should have been following the book. He should have given me the ticket and I should have paid for it. So anyway, that's what happened that time. Then the second time, I don't know what happened, but a cop was standing on the side of the road near Rajendra Nagar in Delhi, and he just signals Manisha to pull over the car. I'm sitting next to Manisha, and he says to her, give me 200 rupees. He just asked for a bribe, just like that. Maybe because she's a woman, I guess, in the car she was driving. Maybe he's just like thinking he can pressure her into getting her to pay a bribe because of whatever he thinks about her. And she just said, I don't have any money again. We said the same thing. And he just looks at her and he's like, how much do you have then on you? She's like, I don't have any money. We don't have any money with us. We've only got credit cards. And then he kind of saw me and he realized I was a foreigner. Usually this bribery stuff doesn't happen with foreigners. Usually they won't ask a foreigner for a bribe. People are police are a little bit worried that for some reason they think that a lot of foreigners work in these embassies in Delhi. So That's why I think they don't often ask for bribes. So anyway, we said we didn't have any money, and he just said, just go. And so yeah, to get off these bribes, all we did both times, we said we don't have any money. We spoke in English because they don't speak much English. It makes it too hard for them. I showed them my international driver's license, which confuses them. They don't know how to do the paperwork for that. And these guys are businessmen, right? Like, they're like, too hard basket. Let's move on to the next easy target. Get my 200 rupees or whatever. Imagine how much money they're collecting during the day, these traffic police. So anyway, maybe you can use those tactics to get away from paying bribes. Just ask them, say, give me the ticket. The ticket's usually cheaper than the bribe as well. Now, if you haven't done anything wrong, anything seriously wrong that can get you into big trouble, you need to ask yourself, should I just comply with this police officer to get away from what's happening, to make them happy? And that is what I had to decide when they came to me and they said, take down this video. The police officer was featured in this video, but I had blurred his face and blurred his ID number. Nothing I had done was wrong. I showed what he did to me, and I didn't show his face or anything. It was mainly just his voice. But the thing was, I couldn't fight him. I would have fought back. I would have, but I was in lockdown. I was in quarantine in a hotel, and I wasn't at home. I was away from home. I was in his territory, his patch, and he was the boss. And he was threatening me as well. So there was nothing I could do, you know? If I had a fought with him in this scenario, in this situation, he would have won. It was his territory, and I knew that. If I was at home, I could have fought it. But I was weak where I was. So you've got to choose your battles as well, okay? I hadn't done anything wrong, but I still took down the video because I didn't want any retaliation from this cop. And I knew he had the power to do stuff to me, okay? So yeah, that sucks. And there's been a few things that I've always done when dealing with police. So I'm going to share them with you. This is like dealing with police 101. What to do, okay? First thing, when the police officer approaches you and you know this ain't something good, pull out your phone, open the voice recorder, hit record the entire conversation as evidence for later, okay? And the thing is, once that police officer sees that you're recording what's going on, his attitude will change, his demeanor will change, and he will play by the book because he knows you're smart and he knows that you're recording this as evidence. So whatever happens, the conversation's going to go a lot better. They do not want you recording. I have done this. They do not want you recording at all. And what they'll ask you is, why are you recording? You don't need to record. Suddenly they go from a bad cop to a nice cop, and that's exactly what I've seen. Suddenly it's like, no, you don't need to record. It's okay. Or when I told them, you know, I really should call a lawyer about what you're saying to me, they're like, oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry. So that's the effect pulling out your phone and hitting the record button has. And the other really, really important thing is always treat the police with respect, okay? Always be courteous, greet them with namaste ji. Don't give them any attitude. You got to stay calm and quiet and just listen and record everything, okay? But always show the police respect. If you don't, that's one surefire way to get yourself in more trouble, okay? So wherever you are in the world, these rules apply, right? Like, show the police respect, even if they're not respecting you, just, you know, it will de-escalate things at the minimum. Now, the third thing, whatever you do not agree with them. So you see, the thing is, they are gonna use all these tricky types of questions to try and get you to admit guilt. They're gonna try and get you to say that you did what they said you did and that you knew what you did was wrong. These are a few things they have to prove. And if you admit that and you haven't done anything, you know, they will use these tricky wordings to make you try and admit guilt. So whenever they ask you something like, did you do this, or anything, you just stare back at them. You just look back at them like this. And this is what I've done when they're trying to get me to admit something that I hadn't done, you know? And a lawyer will tell you never admit guilt, okay? Even if you have done the wrong thing. Let the court decide, okay? So if it is something serious, I'll say it again, if it's something serious, you need a lawyer straight away. If it's something smaller, like removing a video off YouTube or whatever, you know, I can deal with that on my own. So yeah, don't admit guilt. As soon as you do, you're gone, and they can just go file the paperwork and they got you. So yeah, don't let them trick you. You just stare back and don't say anything. Because the thing here in India, it's not only police. People everywhere will try to push you to get something out of you, okay? You can't just roll over and let people win. It's very different. Like, only the strongest survive in India. That's what I feel, okay? That's a big part of living life here in India. Living in India has really toughened me up, you know? I've had to deal with things I would never have to deal with in New Zealand, and been put in really stressful situations, and yeah, it really teaches you to stand up for yourself, to represent yourself, and only the strongest survive here in India. That's what I've learned. Now, a few things could happen at this point. You're recording the conversation, you've not admitted anything, you're staying quiet, you're staying cool. At this point, the police may just leave it. They'll be like, okay, I can't get him to comply with me easily. I'm just gonna let it go, do something else. The second thing that can happen is they'll file an FIR, a first information report, and the case will go to court. Fine, do that. They'll do anything they can to avoid that. They don't want to do the paperwork, they don't want to go to court. And then the third thing that can happen is they're going to keep coming back to you and harassing you every 1 or 2 days until they get what they want from you. Now, if they're doing this, you know they're in the wrong. You know by now they should have filed an FIR against you if you had really done something wrong and done something that's punishable, okay? So if they're still harassing you after the fact and trying to pressure you, that's all they're trying to do. They're trying to pressure you into doing what they want to do when they probably don't have the legal authority to, and when they don't want to file an FIR and take it to court against you, okay? And it's a really stressful time when the police are visiting you often and, you know, putting pressure on you, yelling at you. It's really stressful, and it's happened to me. Visited me for a while, and they finally gave up. They gave up after a while because I followed these rules. And it's just stressful, and mentally it plays on your mind, and they know this. They know they're putting pressure on you, okay? So yeah, just follow these rules. Stay calm. Don't admit your guilt, especially if you haven't done anything wrong. And just keep cool and record everything, okay? And yeah, they will go away. And actually, if they're harassing you, you should take it to their superior and you should complain against them. Now guys, if you're a lawyer or anything, like, fill the comments with your advice on how to deal with the police here in India. And as always, Jai Hind.